Let's take your students from sounding like this to sounding like this. Welcome to the Morning Basket Music channel. I'm Leanne, a homeschool mom of 2 kids and a music educator. Now, I don't know where you're coming from, whether you've been asked to teach recorder as part of a class at school or maybe a co-op. Maybe you've even been brave enough to attempt teaching it in your own homeschool. I just want to say, following a few simple steps can set our students up for great success right from the beginning and sound more like that second example I played and not the first. In case you missed last week's video, which was part 1 of this 2-part recorder series, I'm going to be sure to put a link to it right here so you can go back and watch. In that video, I talked about 3 major benefits for students learning the recorder from a young age. Even though a lot of adults are kind of dreading it and put off by the sound of the recorder, if we can really push through that awkward period in the beginning and help them be successful, it can be a great tool for them developing their musical skills. So be sure to go back and check that one out, and also hit the like and subscribe button while you're there. In today's video, we're going to cover 3 different topics. First, we're going to teach our students about the different parts of the recorder and how to care for their instruments. Second, we're going to model good posture and playing technique. And third, probably the most important one, why everybody wants to stick around in here, is what do we do about those pesky, annoying, squeaky sounds that they will often make when they're first learning to play the recorder. Be sure to stick around at the end, where I'm also going to mention some of my favorite resources for teaching beginning recorder. First up, we're going to teach our students about the different parts of the recorder instrument. So looking at the top third here, this is the head joint with the mouthpiece right up top. Then this long section with most of the holes is the body, followed by this tiny part here at the bottom called the foot joint. So again, we have the head joint, the body, and the foot joint. Mouthpiece is on top. Now this is going to depend on how you can take it apart depending on which type of brand you've bought. Some of those kind of clear, colorful recorders may only come apart into 2 pieces, whereas mine, the Yamaha, actually comes apart into 3 pieces. And this is going to be important for teaching them how to take it apart so they can clean it and then be able to put it back together correctly. As you can see, I've already taken apart my instrument into 3 sections, and now I'm ready to clean it. It is super important to teach our students these good hygiene skills so we are not spreading germs around every time we play. And here's the unfortunate thing, is that most kids, especially in schools, are starting recorder during the months of like January and February. Well, guess when peak cold and flu season is? Bingo, this time of year. So it's not enough to just kind of wipe it off the mouthpiece and hope for the best. We really need to teach them how to care for these instruments and to keep them clean. So if they are able to take them home in between class times, then we can just tell them to use soap and water, make sure they pat it or let it air dry when they're finished. But especially we want to focus on using soap around that mouthpiece. Let's say they keep their instruments at school or in class. They also make disinfecting sprays that you can buy, which will help to sanitize the instrument. If in a special circumstance, which I've had to do this before, is to take home a bunch of recorders that have already been played and I need to clean them myself. If I've got a large group of instruments that I'm responsible for, there have been times where I have sanitized them just by putting them in the dishwasher. Now, I wouldn't recommend that if you're only caring for one single instrument at a time, but if you, the teacher, are responsible for a whole group of recorders, that's probably going to be the fastest, most effective way for you to clean them all at once. At the very least, there is one habit your students need to know about, and that is to make sure they dry out the inside of their instrument after each session when they play. The reason for that is that we know when there is an environment with moisture, especially a warm environment with moisture like coming from our breath, that again, that is where things like germs and bacteria will grow. So most recorders are going to come with a cleaning rod, just a long stick, and you can use a paper towel and simply just wipe out, dry out the inside of the instrument when they get done playing, and then they can take it home and actually wash it later. Okay, so let's fast forward. Let's imagine that my instrument has been cleaned and it's ready to be put back together. Now we're going to reassemble it the same way that we started. Just do the opposite thing. The most important thing that I want to point out here is that this foot joint does not go on so that the holes are straight like this at the bottom. It needs to be slightly turned to the side to allow the correct curve for the pinky at the bottom. Just as a side note, as we're talking about caring for our recorder instruments, this is something similar to what I said in an earlier video where I taught about boom whackers and how to take care of them. It's easy for us and for our kids to say, well, this is just a cheap plastic instrument. This costs maybe like $5. Why is it such a big deal that I take care of it? For me personally, this is just part of my philosophy, even my parenting philosophy, is that I try to teach my kids from a young age to show me you can be trusted with something small, with a very small responsibility, so that I know later on when you're asking for something much bigger, a greater responsibility or privilege, that I know you have shown you can be trustworthy with that thing. So show me with something small like a recorder that's not really expensive, that later on when you're asking for something like the guitar or the piano or whatever expensive instrument, you have proven yourself to be trustworthy and you can take good care of it. Now moving on to part 2, we know how to care for and maintain our instruments, so let's talk about proper playing technique. One thing that I mentioned in last week's video that is really good about the recorder is that it starts to get kids comfortable playing with both hands. Many of us, myself included, are right hand dominant. Well, guess what? You cannot just play the recorder with your right hand. And you got to be careful, like you really have to stay on top of your students because they will inevitably try and play with their right hand on top. But the recorder requires a left hand, starting with the thumb on the thumb hole, to cover these top 3 holes here. And then if they're not ready to play with the right hand yet, they can simply support the they can support the foot joint of the instrument down here with the right hand thumb. Now I'm going to turn so that you can get the side view of what we want to see when holding the recorder instrument. And it's very important, first of all, that the back is sitting up nice and straight. So even if your students do have like a chair back on their seat like mine, we're not going to allow them to relax and rest on that. No, they need to be scooted up so that their feet are nice and flat on the floor and they can have good posture with their backs. All right, so looking at the side view, remember I've used my left hand on top to cover the thumb hole, and then I'll be using these first 3 holes on the top. But here's what I want to avoid. We don't want to see this straight out like this, like a trumpet, or we also don't want to see it pointed at the floor. And be careful, depending on where you have your students looking at music, it can be really tempting for them to start to lean forward and kind of curve their backs like this because they're trying to focus on the music. So the best posture position is we want sort of a slanted 45-degree angle with the instrument. After our kids know about holding the recorder correctly, it is time to move on and teach proper breathing technique. Now there's 2 kind of different images or analogies that I like to give them to focus on breath management. The first is you can tell them, imagine that you have a sleeping baby right here in the room next to you. And so you want to play a nice soft sound in order to not wake that baby up and make them start screaming and crying, because it will hurt everybody's ears when we do that, right? So imagine a breath that's just barely soft enough to make a good sound but not to wake the baby up. Right? Nobody's ears got hurt by doing that. And the second piece of imagery I will show them is to hold your pointer finger up. Imagine this is your candlestick, so the flame is on top, and you want to practice blowing on it, again, hard enough to just make that flame kind of flicker, but not so hard that you blow it out. So let's practice. Can you imagine how that flame was flickering and moving just a little bit? Now, see what it feels like when you try and blow it out. Okay, if you blow that hard into the recorder, that's going to be a terrible loud sound. But let's go back to our first way. That's about how soft we want to blow into the recorder. The third and final piece of technique is called tonguing. And this literally means what kind of shape are we using our tongue to make a syllable when we whisper into the recorder. Some people prefer to use the syllable to, and some people prefer do. You can kind of experiment, see which one is more comfortable or which one you think sounds better. I would say to most people's beginning ears, they're not going to notice a big difference. See if you can tell a difference. The first time I'm going to use the syllable to. And this time I'm using the syllable do. Now, maybe if you have well-trained ears, you could tell a difference. But again, for most beginners, either the to or the do syllable will work just fine. Now, finally, some of you may have already skipped ahead in the video to try and hear my magical answer about how to solve the problem of squeaks on the recorder. So let's imagine that you've already taught your students the proper technique about how to sit up nice and tall, how to breathe correctly, how to have good finger position and all of that, and they're still making really terrible squeaking sounds. What do? I have found that in all my years of teaching recorder, there usually is this one simple fix that is going to solve most recorder squeaking problems. Again, I'm assuming that I have taught the students about good breathing technique and they're not overblowing into the mouthpiece, because that obviously is a problem too. But let's say that they're using good breathing technique, they're not blowing too loud into the instrument. Well, next I'm going to show them something called finger cookies. Finger cookies are a good sign that you are covering the holes on the recorder nice and tight. So I will challenge the kids. I'll say start with just your thumb and your index finger. So play the note B like this. And I want you to press down for a few seconds. Then I'm going to have them take their fingers off the instrument, hold it up, and show me or show your neighbor. Do you see that finger cookie on the end of my thumb? Ooh, that's a good thing. That's what we want to see. Not just that I'm pressing really hard, but what I can see is a complete circle. That means that hole was entirely covered and no air was leaking out. Okay, so I'll show you a bad example. Let's say that I press down trying to cover the holes, and all of a sudden I kind of see a half circle. We call that a broken cookie. So we don't want broken cookies, because what that means is I wasn't completely covering one of the holes on the recorder, which means air is leaking out. And guess what leaking air leads to? You got it, squeaky sounds. I have found that teaching finger cookies has been a really effective way to solve the squeak problems for the students, because they can visually see what the problem is that's contributing to their squeaky sounds. And the note G seems to be kind of the problem for most students. So I will also demonstrate for them. Can you hear the difference when I have my holes completely covered, full cookies, versus broken cookies? Okay, let's see if you can tell the difference. Versus this, see, watch, I'm letting a little bit of air escape on my third finger. Oh, did you hear it? You hear how that squeak snuck in there? That's because I had a broken cookie on this third finger. Finally, I wanted to be sure and mention some of my favorite resources and books that I have used for teaching beginning recorder. So in my honest opinion, a lot of them sound the same. They're going to have a lot of similar arrangements, kind of cheesy background music, but some good options to start with would be things like Recorder Express or Be a Recorder Star. I've had good success using both of those. My real opinion, which I mentioned in last week's video, is if you want some better quality recordings and kind of background music that gets kids more excited even when they're playing a song just on the notes B and A, I would highly recommend that you check out Music K8. Peruse their website. They've got an entire library where now you don't have to buy an entire edition of the magazine. You can literally just purchase one song or one recording at a time. And they've got some really good options, even holiday themed stuff, just lots of music for you to look through there. Another good option, especially if you're teaching, let's say, a group of students, is to use a program like Recorder Karate. And you'll just have to search the internet, because people have created all different versions of Recorder Karate with different types of songs. But the basic premise is that once they kind of level up in their notes that they're learning, then they earn a new colored belt, which is simply, it could be a piece of string that you tie on the bottom of the recorder, but it's kind of a good motivational tool, and they get excited about learning the next level of music. I hope this video has been super helpful and that you now feel more equipped to go out and teach beginning recorder. Still, if you have any questions, concerns, or you just need help troubleshooting the recorder, please be sure to drop all those things in the comments below. Until next time, happy music making!